Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you all?
Fine, good morning, ma'am.
All fine?
Yes, ma'am.
We are meeting after quite a long time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Tell me.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Shivanshi. We were doing civics chapter revision. We were doing, right? That electoral politics word to word reading we were doing,
Yes, ma'am.
and I was explaining. So you want me to continue with the same? You want me to continue with the same, or you want to do revisions only?
Ma'am, history chapter first.
Huh?
Ma'am, history first chapter.
Yes, class, still?
Ma'am, revision.
Civics chapter, you don't want to continue the way we were doing it? Sanya,
No,
Ronit,
ma'am.
Mehak? Beta, class, please respond.
Ma'am, I want to continue with the chapter, civics
Yes,
chapter.
ma'am. Ma'am, I also want to continue. Yes, ma'am. Continue the chapter only.
Fine. So tell me till where we did in that class, and I'll continue from the I'll proceed on from the same thing. Okay. Tell me which particular paragraph we were doing.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, beta Sanya.
Ma'am, can we start from starting?
Yes, we can.
Okay, ma'am.
Um,
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Sachin beta. From the beginning, you people want me to do it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think the first two chapters are all clear and understood to you people, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming to the electoral politics. See, this chapter deals with, that it actually deals with the election system of the country, how the elections are conducted, then and before how they are conducted, why elections are necessary, why do we need elections, what importance do they hold in a democratic government, what importance they hold in a democratic government. All these things we are going to read in this chapter. And then once we are clear with why do we need elections, then we will be reading about the processes which are involved during the elections, right? From what do you call, from the announcements of the election dates till the voting day, right? All this we are going to read in this chapter. But before we start, I would like to know, anybody, any one of you, all those who are there in the meeting, any one of you tell me that what exactly are elections, how they are conducted in a simple in very simple words, you tell me. Anybody in the class? Mehak? Mehak, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ जी, महक बताओ, आप जानते हैं इलेक्शंस क्या होते हैं?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ,
Ma'am,
आप बताओ बताओ.
the procedure by which people choose their
Representatives, okay.
yes, ma'am, it's called election.
It's called election, right? Now, see, elections are the only way in democracy to ensure that. Good morning, Harsh Vardhan. Good morning. Right now, we all know that democracy, when we say democracy, we know that rule of people. This we have read in the previous classes, right, Sivanshi?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and election is the only way, it is a mechanism, like democracy. When we say democracy, we say elections are the exact mechanism through which we ensure people's rule. How people's rule? By choosing their representatives to rule over them. And these rulers, those who are there, they come into being, they come into existence only because of the people who vote for them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, how do you want me to go? Reading one by one? Reading one by one, or shall I explain you directly
Ma'am,
without reading?
explanation.
Okay,
Ma'am,
without
directly.
without reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
See, page 35 I am reading from. On this page 35, they have simply told you, like they have given a heading, why elections. Can anybody share the screen for me of this PDF, if I permit you? Do we have the PDF? Give me a moment. Let me wait. Let me take out the PDF. Just a second now. और दीदी पूरे महीने को आपको मुझे 13 से 31 तक हाँ how to get the PDF out of this, can anybody tell? Okay, children, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. In this overview, they have simply told you that we have seen that in a democracy, it is neither possible nor necessary for people to govern directly, right? We don't rule over the country, over the people directly, but indirectly we rule through the chosen representatives, those who are there, right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the most common form of democracy in our times is for the people to govern through their representatives. And in this chapter, we will look at how these representatives are elected. We begin by understanding why elections are necessary and useful in a democracy. We try to understand how electoral competition among parties serves the people. We then go on to ask what makes an election democratic. The basic idea here is to distinguish democratic elections from non-democratic elections. Now see why they have given this basic idea over here. In the previous chapters, we have read that how in a democratic country, non-democratic ways were adopted to rule over the people, right? Like China is a country where, of course, elections are there after every 5 years, but then there is no meaning of these elections because they have just one political party. So people are bound to choose from that particular party only, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, then we have read about Zimbabwe, we have read about Mexico. All these countries, they were all democratic countries, but still democracy was not actually practiced in these countries. During the times of elections, all types of malpractices were there, unfair means were used by the rulers to remain in power, right? Then rest of the chapter tries to assess elections in India in the light of this yardstick. We take a look at each stage of elections, from the drawing of boundaries of different constituencies to the declaration of results. At each stage, we ask what happened, what should happen, and what does happen in elections. Towards the end of the chapter, we turn to an assessment of whether elections in India are free and fair. Here, we also examine the role of the Election Commission in ensuring free and fair elections, right? So this is what they are trying to tell us. Now, on first page, they have given that why elections. Assembly elections in Haryana. They have given a case study of Haryana where they have told that, you know, they have given a newspaper cutting over here that the time is after midnight and an expectant crowd sitting for the past 5 hours in the chalk of the town is waiting for its leader to come. The organizers assure and reassure the crowd that he would be here any moment. The crowd stands up whenever a passing vehicle comes that way. It arouses hopes that he has come. The leader is Mr. Devilal, chief of the Haryana Sangharsh Samiti, who was to address meeting in Karnal on Thursday night. The 76-year-old leader is a very busy man these days. His day starts at 8 a.m. and ends after 11 p.m. He had already addressed 9 election meetings since morning, been constantly addressing public for the past 23 months in preparing for this election. Now, this newspaper clipping tells you that, you know, a huge number of, large number of people, they are sitting for almost 5 years. They are waiting for a leader to come and address, right? The ones who have organized this public meeting, they are assuring and reassuring the crowd that yes, any moment the leader would be there. And as a vehicle passes by, they all stand up. right? Maybe thinking that the leader has arrived, and the person for whom these people are waiting is Mr. Devilal, who was the leader of the Haryana Sangharsh Samiti, and he is busy campaigning for the elections, right? He is one of the candidates to contest elections, and he's campaigning day and night, addressing people, talking to them, sharing his agenda if he comes to power as a leader of the ruling party, governing the government. All these things, people, they do during the election campaign, right? So election campaign is something that comes up only after the election dates are declared by the who declares the election dates, can you tell me?
Election Commission.
Yes, very good. The election commission declares the election dates, right? Now, what type of elections are these which we are talking about? Are they Lok Sabha elections, or they are assembly elections? Huh?
Lok Sabha.
Nana.
Assembly election.
Yes,
Yes,
these are
assembly
assembly elections. See,
Assembly
Sachin, it is
election.
clearly written. No, that is why I asked you. These are assembly elections. Assembly elections are we say assembly elections for the state government elections, right? For the chief minister, right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this
Yes,
newspaper
ma'am.
report is about how this newspaper report. See, in this first page, they are simply telling you that they have given you a case study of Haryana where the elections are to be conducted, are to be held, and they have given you about the past also, like who is the ruling party over there at present, like at that time when the elections were to be conducted, which political party was ruling, who was the leader, and who aspired to rule over the state in the coming elections. All these things are given over here. So Congress party was the ruling party at that time when the elections were to be conducted. And they have also given that since 1987, it was the Congress party that was, ruling over the state. And Chaudhry Devilal, he was the opposition leader at that time, and he had led a movement called Nyaya Youth, Struggle for Justice. And he formed a party also, which was called as the Haryana Sangharsh Samiti, right? Right,
Yes,
class?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, during the election campaigns, to get the attention of the public, the leaders or the candidates, they promise, certain things to the candidate, to the public. And through these promises only, like when, during the elections in UP, this triple talaqs was a very, what do you call, hot issue at that time. So many of the political leaders, those who were there contesting elections, they took up this issue also. They said if our government come into force uh, in the at the state level, then we will ensure that we are going to go for the what do you call, uh, to bring a law against the triple talaq system, right? So this way, of course, the public, that the public gets, a public generally, tends to give votes to such kind of people, those who try to bring certain changes in the already set up which is there, right? Now, Chaudhry Devilal, when he was campaigning about his party, he promised that what he will do once he come to power, he will ensure that all the what do you call, um, all the loans of the small farmers and the small businessmen, those who are there, it will be waived off. Like they will uh, not take loans, they will not take the amount of money that has been given as loan to these people. So of course the public got, very happy. And because in Haryana, maximum people, they are into farming only, right? They are farmers only. So these people, they got very much attracted to this offer that was made to them through the election campaign. And ultimately what happened, when the voting day came, maximum 76 seats out of 90 seats were won by the Lokdal party, which was headed by Chaudhry Devi Lal, right? And during those elections, Congress could win only 5 seats. So ultimately, Chaudhry Devi Lal's party came into power, right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, once the election results were announced, the sitting chief minister resigned. Whosoever was the chief minister had to resign because of the election results were declared, and their party Congress could not win, appropriate seats that were required for the contesting of the elections, for winning the elections. They could not win the seats, so ultimately Lokdal, the newly elected members of Legislative Assembly of Lokdal, chose Devi Lal as their leader. The governor invited Devi Lal to be the new chief minister. Now we all know that the position and the role that is played by the president at the center, same role is played by the governor at the state level. हम ये कह सकते हैं कि जो गवर्नर होते हैं वो स्टेट के प्रेसिडेंट्स होते हैं, ठीक है। और जो सेंट्रल में जो प्रेसिडेंट है वो तो प्रेसिडेंट है ही, पर हम जब स्टेट की बात करते हैं तो स्टेट में गवर्नर की जो पावर्स होती है वो दे आर एग्जैक्टली द सेम दैट द प्रेसिडेंट अटेन्स, ठीक है। और जो स्टेट में जो लीडर होता है, जो रियल हेड होता है, वो होता है आपका, कौन होता है? हु इज द रियल हेड इन द एट द स्टेट लेवल?
प्रेसिडेंट।
मैं प्रेसिडेंट।
अरे भाई, स्टेट लेवल पे रियल हेड कौन होता है बच्चे?
पीएम।
यस, चीफ मिनिस्टर, वेरी गुड।
प्राइम
ना चीफ मिनिस्टर होता है, स्टेट
चीफ
में
मिनिस्टर।
मिनिस्टर होता है ना बेटा। और सेंट्रल में कौन
यस
होता
मैम,
है
चीफ
रियल हेड?
मिनिस्टर।
सेंट्रल में रियल हेड कौन होता है?
प्राइम
प्रेसिडेंट।
मिनिस्टर।
मिनिस्टर, वेरी गुड। हमने कहा
प्राइम
जो भी
मिनिस्टर।
रोल, हाँ, जो भी रोल सेंट्रल में प्रेसिडेंट या प्राइम मिनिस्टर निभाते हैं, एग्जैक्टली वही रोल स्टेट लेवल पे हमारे चीफ मिनिस्टर और हमारे गवर्नर जो है वो निभाते हैं। आई होप दिस मच इज क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ यू।
यस मैम।
ठीक है,
यस मैम।
चलो वेरी गुड। तो क्या हुआ, जब इलेक्शंस में लोकदल जीती तो लोकदल ने क्या कहा? लोकदल ने ये करा कि जो लोकदल की जो मेंबर्स थे, जो कि न्यूली इलेक्टेड असेंबली मेंबर्स थे, उनको जो है ये कहा गया कि आप जो है आके अपना जो है पार्टी, अपने काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स को जो है कैबिनेट मेंबर्स अपने लो, और उन्होंने उनसे पूछा गया कि भाई आप किसको अपना चीफ मिनिस्टर बनाना चाहोगे, अपना लीडर बनाना चाहोगे? तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम चौधरी देवीलाल को ही जो है चीफ मिनिस्टर बनाना चाहेंगे, ठीक है। तो अब इसके बाद क्या हुआ, जैसे ही वो चीफ मिनिस्टर बने, उन्होंने तुरंत सबसे पहले जो ऑर्डर दिया गवर्नमेंट को, वो क्या दिया? waiving the outstanding loans of small farmers, agricultural laborers and small businessmen. जितने भी लोन्स इन लोगों ने लिए थे उन सबको खत्म कर दिया गया। उनसे कहा गया आप बिल्कुल परेशान मत लो, आप नए सिरे से लोन ले सकते हो, आपसे पुराने लोन की रिकवरी नहीं की जाएगी, ठीक है। इतना हुआ?
यस मैम।
यस मैम।
चलिए, इतना समझ में आ गया। अब कह रहा है कि next elections were held in 1991, but this time his party did not win popular support. The Congress won the elections and formed the government. कह रहा है कि दोबारा से 1991 में इलेक्शन हुए, पर इस बार के इलेक्शंस में जो है लोकदल पावर में ना आ पाई। कौन आया पावर में लोकदल की जगह? कांग्रेस पार्टी दोबारा से पावर में
कांग्रेस।
गई, ठीक है। अच्छा, अब इसमें एक एक्टिविटी दी हुई है इसमें इन लोगों ने कि डू यू नो व्हेन द लास्ट असेंबली इलेक्शन वाज हेल्ड इन योर स्टेट? आपको पता है आपके स्टेट में लास्ट इलेक्शंस कब हुए थे? यूपी में इलेक्शंस लास्ट कब
यस
हुए थे?
मैम।
कब हुए थे सचिन,
And
बताओ?
2017।
2017
17।
कि 15?
15। 2015।
17 में?
70.
यस मैम।
मेरे ख्याल से हाँ 2017 में हुए थे। सचिन, यू वर करेक्ट, वेरी गुड, 2017 में ही हुए थे, ठीक है। नाउ
यस
इन दिस
मैम।
दे आर आस्किंग व्हाई डू वी नीड इलेक्शंस? हमें इलेक्शंस की जरूरत क्यों पड़ती है? आप बताइए कि क्या बिना इलेक्शन के काम नहीं चल सकता है? क्लास
No, ma'am.
चल नहीं? धनंजय बताओ, चल सकता है नहीं चल सकता है?
No, ma'am.
क्यों? क्यों नहीं चल सकता है बताओ?
Ma'am, we have to choose a leader who, ma'am, we have to choose a leader who
We have to choose a... सचिन, आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं है बेटा।
मैम धनंजय बोल रहा हूँ।
बताओ।
मैम मैम बिकॉज मैम गवर्नमेंट न्यू पॉलिसी लाती है।
हाँ, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट जो
मैम
होती
न्यू
है,
गवर्नमेंट न्यू
ठीक है,
पॉलिसी
हाँ, और
मैम ला बनाती मैम
हाँ,
न्यू
लॉज
लॉज।
बनाती है।
यस मैम।
ठीक है, वेरी गुड। ये कह
मैम
रहा है कि
डिसीजन।
इलेक्शन, हाँ, ये कह रहा है कि इलेक्शन इसलिए भी जरूरी होते हैं क्योंकि यदि इलेक्शंस ना हो तो ये कौन डिसाइड करेगा कि भाई लॉ कैसे, क्या क्या लॉज बनेंगे, क्या क्या कानून आएंगे प्रैक्टिस में, ठीक है, और कौन लोग जो है डिसीजंस लेंगे। क्योंकि भाई अगर जैसे हमने क्लास में सबको जो है रिस्पॉन्सिबल बना दिया, अगर ठीक है, हमने हमने सबसे कहा कि भाई आप सब लोग मॉनिटर हो, आप सब लोग जो है नोटबुक इंचार्जेस हो, आप सभी लोग सब कुछ हो, तो क्या होगा, कई बार ऐसा होगा कि आपस में लड़ाई हो जाएगी, नहीं मैं हूँ मॉनिटर, मैं संभालूंगा क्लास को, दूसरा बोलेगा नहीं मैं मॉनिटर हूँ, मैं संभालूंगा। और कई बार क्या होगा कि मैम पूछेगी भाई शोर क्यों हो रहा था, सबको तो मॉनिटर है क्लास में, तो सब सब क्या बोलेंगे, मैम ये मॉनिटर है, इसने भी नहीं देखा, मैं तो हूँ पर उसने भी नहीं देखा, इसलिए मैंने भी नहीं देखा। तो या तो आप एक दूसरे पे ब्लेम डालोगे, अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज को एक दूसरे के ऊपर सरका दोगे कि भाई वो देखेगा वो देखेगा वो देखेगा, या इतने ज्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबल हो जाओगे कि आपस में लड़ाई झगड़े करने लगोगे कि नहीं मैं देखूंगा तुम कुछ और देखो। ठीक है, तो हर किसी के ड्यूटीज और हर किसी के फंक्शंस को, पावर्स को डिस्क्राइब करना बहुत जरूरी होता है। उससे क्या होता है कि एक ही इंसान रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को बेयर करता है एंड अल्टीमेटली वो ही आंसरेबल भी होता है टू एनीथिंग दैट गोज रॉन्ग। ठीक है, ठीक
यस
है
मैम।
बेटा, हाँ, ठीक है। अब जो है इसमें ये कह रहा है, हु विल रीड फॉर मी, सचिन,
कह रहा है
ये सचिन रीड।
यस मैम। Why do we need elections?
यस, व्हाई डू वी नीड।
Elections take place regularly
Yes,
in
ma'am.
any Elections take place regularly in any democracy. There are more than 100 countries in the world in which elections take place to choose people's representatives. We also read that elections are held in many countries that are not democratic. But why do we need elections? Let us try to imagine a democracy without elections. A rule of the people is possible without any election if all the peoples can sit together every day and take all the decisions. But as we have already seen in chapter 1, this is not possible in any large community, nor it is possible for everyone to have the time and knowledge to take decisions in all matters. Therefore, in most democracies, people rule through their representatives. Is there a democratic way of selecting representative without elections? Let us think of a place where representatives are selected on the basis of age and experience, or or a place where they are chosen on the basis of education or knowledge. There could be some difficulty in deciding on who is more experienced or knowledgeable. But let us say the people can resolve these difficulties clearly. Such a place does not require elections. But can we call this place a democracy? How we find out if the people like their representatives or not? How do we ensure that these representatives rule as per the wishes of the people? How to make sure that those who the people don't like do not remain their representatives? This requires a mechanism by which people can choose their representatives at regular interval and changes them if they wish to do so. This mechanism is called election. Therefore, elections are considered essential in our times for any representatives democracy. In an election, the voters make many choices. They can choose who will make laws for them. They can choose who will form the government and take major decisions. They can choose the parties whose policies will guide the government and laws making.
And lawmaking. See,
What
if okay, very good. Why do we need elections? Because it is not possible for every one of us to sit together every day to discuss on certain matters, to take decisions. That is why we need elections, right? And in elections, whenever elections are conducted, they ensure that in elections, the voters, they make many choices, because we all are concerned about ourselves, our welfare. So we choose a person, we choose a party that will make for laws for us. We choose a form of government that will take all the decisions for us. We also choose the political party who will be making policies and guide the government in law making, right? So for all these provisions, we need elections. It is necessary to have elections for all these processes. Now, what makes an election democratic? See, whenever we say elections, we always say that everyone who is of voting age should be able to vote. One person, one vote, one value is always kept in mind whenever it comes on election. Second thing, there should be something to choose from. Like when I told you about countries conducting elections, I gave you example of China. China is a country where only one party is there. So we say that whenever the elections are to be conducted, at least two parties should be there so that people can make choices, right? Then third is, the choice should be offered at regular intervals. Elections must be held regularly after every few years. They say that after every 5 years, like in our country, if you say there is a 5 years duration time given to the people who form the government, and then after every 5 years again, these people, they are given chance, the people are given chance to vote again, vote again, right? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
So if in the previous year people made wrong choices, in the next elections they can rectify their mistakes, right? Then the candidate preferred by the people should get elected. Like sometimes it so happens, I always give this example. In the BJP, in the elections in 2014, when BJP came, when BJP party won popular support, at that time people did not vote for BJP party. They voted for Narendra Modi, because BJP announced that if BJP will win, then Narendra Modi will become the prime minister. So many of the people, because they knew that Mr. Narendra Modi had done very good work when he was the chief minister of Gujarat, and consequently for 15 years he was the chief minister. Three times he had won the assembly elections in Gujarat. So people knew that if he will come to central government as the head of the central government, he is definitely going to bring changes in the country throughout. So people voted for BJP because they knew that Narendra Modi will become the prime minister, right? So the candidate preferred by the people should get elected. This is something which everybody requires. They say that if I have voted for you, you should only come to power, right? Like Chalo, let us not have this example. Some other day I'll discuss. Then fifth point, they say elections should be conducted in a free and fair manner where people can choose as they really wish. अब कई बार क्या होता है, मैल प्रैक्टिसेस, फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शंस हम क्यों कहते हैं, एक फ्री एंड फेयर मैनर में हम क्यों कहते हैं? बिकॉज इन द रूरल, इन द रिमोट एरियाज, in the rural areas, there are people who are in these many of the political leaders, they use their muscle power. They have their gundas. They, what do they do during the time of elections? At the time of voting, they pressurize people to vote for a particular candidate of a particular party. And if the voters do not vote for the same candidate, they threaten, they keep threatening them. Sometimes they at the point of the gun also, they tell these voters to vote for their particular candidate. So these kind of malpractices are always there. So elections, if in a country elections are being conducted, then the body which is conducting these elections should ensure that these elections are free and fair. No malpractices are involved. People are not threatened. They are not influenced by the gundas that are kept by the leaders to to get maximum votes. Then like initially ballot boxes ballot papers were used for elections. So at the time after the elections were over, these ballot boxes, they were stolen away by the members of the political parties, just to ensure that they only get the maximum votes, when they know that at a particular polling booth the people, they have voted for some other candidate, and they were they wanted to be they wanted to be chosen from that particular area. So what they used to do, they used to steal away the ballot boxes, change all the ballot papers, and replace it. So these kind of practices were quite common in the past. But now, because we have EVM machines, no forgery could be done through these EVMs. So now the elections, we can say they have become quite more fairer, right? So these kind of practices that we have, we need to ensure that everything that takes place is in a right manner taking place, right? Right, class?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
These might look like very simple and easy condition, but there are many countries where these are not fulfilled. Now, in this chapter, we will apply these conditions to the elections held in our country to see if we can call these democratic elections. Now, the next topic that comes up is it good to have a political competition? Now, sometimes it so happen that people say elections are not good, these political competitions are not good. Some people say it is good because when there is competition, what happens? Every time we tend to become better, right? Like whenever the tests are conducted, those who don't score good marks, if they are, if they have a healthy competition spirit in them, what do? What do they say? They say that we are going to improve on our results. They will work more harder, right? And in the next when next test or exams are conducted, they tend to secure good marks, right? Right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Same way, what happens that during the political competition that takes place, sometimes, uh, the people, they get divided into, different various communities on the basis of, religion, on the basis of caste. There are several other practices that come up because of the political competition. You must have seen, like it is written over here, elections are thus all about political competition. This competition takes various forms. The most obvious form is the competition among political parties. We all know it is quite obvious. जब house competitions होते हैं तो क्या होता है? House जो house members होते हैं, जो red house के होते हैं या yellow house के या green house के या blue house के, ये लोग आपस में ही लड़ते हैं ना, मतलब आर्ग्यूमेंट्स करते हैं, नहीं हमारा हाउस जीतेगा, हमारा हाउस जीतेगा, वी विल बी ऑन द विनिंग साइड. तो ये चीजें बड़ी हेल्दी होती हैं, अनलेस एंड अनटिल फिजिकली वी आर नॉट इन्वॉल्व. अगर हम हाथापाई करेंगे कि नहीं तूने कैसे कहा मेरे हाउस के लिए बुरा, या तूने ऐसे कैसे कहा, तो ये चीज गलत हो जाएगी, है ना? हो जाएगी ना?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, जो भी है, इट शुड
Yes,
बी
ma'am.
हेल्दी. अगर हम ये, इफ वी एस्पायर टू विन द कंपटीशन, वी नीड टू वर्क हार्ड फॉर दैट. जैसे इफ यू रिमेम्बर, हम लोग जब स्पोर्ट्स कंपटीशन था, तो उसमें क्या था? Teachers, students, everybody was, what do you call, they were encouraging the participants, those who were there. They were encouraging them by saying, yes, yes, you can do it, run fast, this, that, everything. They were, in a positive manner, they were motivating, right? So this kind of positivity should be there in any competition. But when it comes to the political competition, it becomes difficult. It takes, other, what do you call, there is a different phase that comes up in the political